Hi, welcome to Editing Videos That Don't Suck. My name is Tom Snedeker and I'm an instructional designer at the Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning, and this is the second video in our Videos and Presentations That Don't Suck series. In this video, we're going to take the clip or clips that you've already shot and import them into an editing program and turn them into a nice, tight, coherent video that you can use later. By the end of this video, you should have developed some conceptual knowledge about what is and isn't possible in an editing program. We're going to explore the workspace and tools that are common to most of the programs. We'll practice trimming a clip to the action or to the dialogue. We'll work on stitching clips together, and we'll work on stacking elements on top of each other. Then we'll talk about crossfades and cross dissolves and transitions, and then finally exporting your video. Okay, before we dive in, I just wanted to talk to you briefly about something that is sometimes confusing to some people who are just getting started in video editing. These days, we use what we call non-destructive video editing. Back in the days in the machine that you see here, when you made a cut to a piece of film, you cut it. In the virtual world, when you make a cut into your program, you're not doing anything to that original video. All you are doing is writing a little computer code that tells the program to play that video from this cut point to that cut point. So all the editing you're doing is non-destructive. You're not going to ruin any of your clips that you've already shot. You're not going to break anything. So feel free when you open up your video editing program for the first time, just to dive in and play with it and see what it does. Okay, now we're going to do a quick tour of our workspace. I'm using the program Adobe Premiere. There's lots of other video programs out there, but they all kind of do the same things, and they all pretty much have the same items in them. You just might have to search around to find where they're located in your program if you're using something different. The most important space is your timeline. That's down here at the bottom right, and it has all the images and videos and audio clips that we've compiled to make your video. If you look, the things on the bottom, those green boxes are different sound files. Above that, those blue boxes are different video clips, and then those pink boxes are still images that I've used, or text boxes and stuff that I've used to stack upon the top of the video. Your toolbar, which is the other important spot, is just off to the left of the timeline, and that has your razor blade to cut things, your pointer tool so you can grab and move things. All of your tools are over there. Above the timeline is the video inspector, which you can see the video clip or wherever your playhead is, so you can scrub through your video or play it and watch it there. Off to the left, you see the property inspector on the top left, which tells you all the details about whatever it is, whatever item you have selected. Right now I have this video clip selected. I can see it set to 100%. I can change the size so you can see it move. I can slide it left and right if I need to do something like that. You can change the opacity or edit any of the effects that are applied to that clip in the timeline. That's where you do a lot of your fine detail work. Below that, you see all the project elements, all the video files, the audio files, the still images, and all that stuff is stored in this area. You also have a few other things in here that are important. One is your effects, where you can find your cross dissolves and your crossfades and all your video and audio effects that you might want to use. So that's basically it. It looks like a lot of stuff, but if you look at it in its component parts, it's all fairly simple. Okay, now we're going to work on splitting and trimming a single clip. I have prepared in our timeline, I added another video clip in here that you can see. I'll expand it out so you can see what's going on. If you see that, you can see there's this clip of video here where I'm talking, but then there's this spot where I was just getting ready. There's an empty spot there. You can see at the bottom that the wave file for the sound is flat, so there's no sound going on, which usually means that you've got an empty video clip. And on the very end, there's the same thing. So we're going to work at trimming these things down. In most programs, you can just grab and move a video clip, which I'm doing that now. I'm shortening this clip. We'll shorten it down to right at where you can see the audio file end. So we trim that to the very end of the action. At the beginning, we'll do the same thing. Just drag it to the beginning of me talking, and that's about right there. But as you still see in our timeline, we've got all this empty space. So I just take my video clip, and you can drag it to the very beginning of your timeline. And I've just shortened this clip considerably, which is good. And most importantly, I've removed all that dead space, because you don't want yourself just sitting there staring at the camera doing nothing, because that doesn't look very good. If you messed up in the middle and you want to stitch some things together, you get out your razor blade tool, which I've selected here, and I'm going to just cut this in a couple of random places. It looks like I stopped talking there and I stopped talking there. So I've got that clip taken out. I can just delete it, slide the other one on top, and I've just deleted that clip. And there's a little jump cut there, but it doesn't look too bad since my head didn't move very much in that clip. But that's when we were talking about applying some sort of transition between those things. So that's how you trim the beginnings and endings of a video clip, and that's how you take out a piece in the middle where you may have messed up or there's something in there you want to take out. Okay, we just talked about taking a single video clip and trimming the beginnings and the endings and possibly cutting something out of the middle of it. Now we're going to take multiple clips and stitch them together into a single sequence. Okay, I have one video in my sequence already. I'm just going to find a couple of others and drag them in there. Here's another one here. And now we have 2 videos in our sequence. And I'll drag another one here. Now we have 3 videos in our sequence. And if your videos are perfectly edited before, or your clips are perfectly edited before you drag them in there, you're done. You've made a multiple sequence video clip. But the chances of that are probably kind of slim, and that you'll probably need to do some trimming to the beginnings and endings. If you see the beginning of this clip, there's a little bit of dead space. I'll drag that out. And we'll go to this one here and drag that and drag that. And so there we go. Now we have it cut pretty much to the action. I didn't look to see what I was saying, so you probably want to take a little bit more care than I did there to trim out the beginnings and endings, but for the most part, you're done. Unless you need to apply a transition or something in between the clips to make them look smoother, and we'll talk about that later in the video. Another tool that we're going to use here, when you've got multiple clips, especially when you've got things stacked up on top of each other, you can always grab one thing and move it. That's fine. But if you need to move everything, there's a select forward tool where you select that, and it'll take everything in your timeline from that point forward, and you can move it all as a single thing, so you don't have to worry about trying to grab and draw a box around all the things in your video timeline and move them all. You can do it all with a single tool. So there you go. Quick, simple stitching video clips together. Okay, so far we've been working kind of two-dimensional. We've worked in a single sequence with a single layer of video and audio, and there's been multiple clips, but they've all been on a single layer. Now we're going to go to more three-dimensional approach and look at stacking things on top of your initial video track. So what we're going to do is take a graphical element. Here I have a text file here, and you just drag it into the timeline where it needs to go. And there you go. Now we have camera mic 3 feet away over the screen. You can change the length of it. You just want to make sure it comes in at the time you want. We're going to set it to come in right here when I start speaking, and to stop right here where I stop speaking. And so now we stretch it out to the duration of that, and it'll tell you how long that was. You can drag multiple elements on top of that. Let's find another one. Here's another element. We can see what that looks like. Now we have the big sorry guy there. It defaults to stack things right in the center, which isn't obviously where we want things to be. So we'll go to our property inspector, and we'll see that this thing is at 100%. We can shrink it down here to make it a little smaller, and then we can go to our position and move it somewhere that's out of the way. And now I've just done a really quick, I've got text on the screen, I've got a graphical image to point to, and it's all stacked on top of our video layer. Now we'll go for our audio file, and let's see, here's a some background music that I made, and now we've added a sound clip to it. Then you need to balance out the volumes and stuff there in the property inspector where we did all of our other work. And really, it's not that much more difficult than that. It is time consuming. It takes a lot of time to get those things just exactly right, to get things to appear right at the spot you want to appear and to disappear right when they need to go away. So it takes a little bit of work and a little bit of time, but that's how you do it. The doing of it is not that difficult. It's the tedium that takes to get everything just exactly perfect that's going to cost you time. Okay, now we have a bunch of elements in our sequence, and now we're going to do a little smoothing out of some of the rough edges, which in this case we're going to add cross dissolves to the still images and between the two video clips that we've stitched together. So it's really easy to do. You just go into if we're in your element inspector, just go to the one that says effects and scroll down until you find video effects and then dissolves, and we're going to use a cross dissolve. There's a lot of different video effects in here. Some are crazier than others. I don't recommend you using any of the really crazy ones, any of the iris effects where you just kind of blossom out of the center of the screen and things like that. It looks cool once, but after the 20th or 30th time you've done it in a video, you're making your audience seasick, and you don't want anything to distract from your awesome message. So we're going to take one of these cross dissolves, and I'm going to put it between the two video clips, and now you can see, I'll play from one to the other. You can see as a transition between, it does a little cross dissolve. It brings in a little bit of the next clip over the top of the previous one and blends them together. So it makes jump cuts and stuff a little bit smoother. You can also add it to the beginning and ending of a single element, which we will do to our smiley face. We will add a fade in and fade out. So as we're moving into that, let's move this guy out of the way so you can see the full effect. Let's add one to the end. And see when it plays the face, it just magically fades in. And at the very end of the clip, it'll magically fade away. And here it comes in 3, 2, 1, and it fades out. So there we go. That's adding a cross dissolve or a fade in, fade out to any single clip or any single element within your sequence. Okay, we've taken multiple video clips and stitched them together into a single sequence. We've added background music and we've added some still images on top. We've applied a crossfade between the video clips and a fade in and out of the still images so they fade in nicely. So now we have a complete video edited. It's ready to go. We're all done, right? Nope, not quite yet. There's one very important thing we have to do at the end, which is to export it so we can have a finished video to share with the world because we want everyone to see the awesome videos we make. So in Adobe Premiere, you go to File, Export to Media, and it gets you this nice dialog box where you can set the settings for your video. Other programs have a different name for it. In iMovie, it's called Share. Other programs may call it Publish, but they all pretty much do the same thing. I try to select the highest quality video I can, which is this H.264 compressor, which gives you a nice quality video. In iMovie, I think your choices are more limited. You can choose different quality. I would choose the one to file to computer instead of something to email or publish to the web because those are lower quality videos and you want the best quality you can. You give your video a name. We will call it Tom's Awesome Video. And make sure the settings all look good. And then all you have to do is hit export and it starts publishing your video. And just wait for it to be done. It may take a little while to do. This one looks like it's only going to take about a minute. So it's not very long. I've got a pretty high powered computer, so it goes pretty quick. Depending on the quality of your computer, it may take longer than others. So just be patient. It may take real time or twice real time of whatever your video is, so it may take a while, but once it's done, you have a video you can export to YouTube or send to YouTube or to My Media or wherever you want it to be viewed. So that's it. Okay, so we're pretty much done, but there's one final thing I want to say before we go, which when you're using a video editing program, you need to save all the time. Video programs really tax your computer's resources and they're prone to crashing. if you have been working for 3 or 4 hours and forgot to hit save and your computer crashes, you might lose all that work you did and you're going to cry. And I don't like to see people crying, so please save all the time. Every couple of minutes, save your video. Anytime you do something really crazy or set up something very complicated, save it to make sure that if it crashes, that at least it crashed after you saved your video. So that's all we have for today. Stay tuned for more. Bye.